Why are you doing it that way? The straw pokes a hole in it.
Jim is.
This is not why
I've
gave
never
you
seen
this.
a man suck something so hard. It looks so awkward. Anyway, welcome to the Backstage Pass, where we get to have a VIP access.
Hold on, I haven't started here. Sorry,
go.
guys. You just missed me taking the power from a Capri Sun.
Welcome to
it'd
the
be funny
Backstage Pass.
if we have this as, because we started the audio recording, if we just have a black screen or like an artist's impression of Jim sucking the power from a Capri
Commission
Sun.
someone to draw that.
Becca, we have a job for you.
Aggressively sucking it.
We'll get Becca to do an animatic of that.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to Backstage Pass, where we go behind the scenes and talk about what happened.
Shite.
Yeah, about what happened in the last episode.
Let's jump in and analyze that date.
Yeah,
Where do you think it went wrong for you,
Where do you
Sid?
think it went right first?
Okay,
What went
sorry,
right?
let's focus on the positives.
Turns
Let's do like a stop, start, continue.
out she did.
Like, what would you stop doing? What should you start doing? What should you continue doing in your dating life?
Yeah, so I think surprisingly what went right is she was impressed by the physique of Sid.
Yes, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
She loved the physique.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, so keep to the gym.
Yeah, keep that belt on.
What's funny
Wait,
is
wait,
Do you physically waste away a little if you take off the belt?
I'm gonna say yes.
no.
Yeah. Well, no, because
Like,
you're
fucking
noticeably
All Might.
buffer now in the art.
Yeah, I buffed you up a bit in the art.
Yeah.
But I think not that much buff.
But I think that could also
would be
be
trained.
from
You went
just
from
the life
being like-
you lived for like a month.
yeah,
you know?
I went from like a 17-year-old kid that lived in a town to being like out fighting and camping.
Yeah, and then you
everything
came
all day.
home and studied for 6
Oh,
months.
fuck
But I didn't
yeah,
stop
you would have
training. No,
atrophied as
but
well.
You didn't. Yeah.
I know because we said that I kept training with Herman.
Yeah, you did. Well, I think most of your training maybe went with Aisling.
No,
and the
because
Dreamers.
Herman in episode 1, like actually in the last episode of the last season, Herman's only thing to you was like hit the fucking books.
Yeah, not hit the bench.
But I
hit the
wouldn't.
books.
I wouldn't have stopped training. I got to take Fink out on
Right,
walks.
no, yeah, you're going to still do some training, but
but
it's going to be the same training that you did originally, which did not get you buff.
it got me very.
It got you lean, but you're not in a mass building phase. The belt gave you that bulk.
I still think that I spent way longer out on the road than studying.
No, you didn't.
I know in your weird world, you think the whole thing happened in like 3 days.
It did.
But
It was
no.
like the whole Stones Reach arc, the whole season 1 was literally over a 2-week period.
Jim and I have decided there's no possible way because there's too much emotional.
There's just no way.
There's no way. There's too
No.
much emotional stuff
It's
in there.
compression. It's time compression,
Yeah.
but it definitely happened over the course of like
Rykari
a long,
may have
long
had
fucking
a-
time.
Yeah, it had to be like at least a few months.
Yeah, because you never we were on the boat as well. Remember that could have been
Yeah,
months.
that's a thing to tell you. That's a backstage pass thing. Dylan one day just dropped on Jim and I right before the Stones Reach fight, and he was like, "Well, I mean, you guys have only known each other for like a week and a half," and we were like, "What?"
I mean, like if you look at it technically, like yeah, there is only like a week and a half of gameplay there, but I think that's an assumed compression of time,
Yeah.
and it's fair to say that like there would have been traveling times, there would have been
These are
walking
biblical
and-
days where it was
yeah.
actually 100 years.
On Letuan, a day is 72
I think-
hours long.
I think you're absolutely within your right to interpret it that way because it feels like a lot longer from how much time we've been
It would
playing
not make no sense for Sid to say anything about him being more like a father figure if he was like, "Hey, you're a stranger."
No, like I'm on both of your sides here because I'm right there with you, but like
I know the
realistically,
technical
there's a
side,
very clear timeline from when that all happened.
Very clear. Only because I was tracking the nights for the nightmares.
But
and things
also,
like
like
that,
if you look
you
at
know?
it, like from episode 1 to our arrival in Stone's Reach is 2 days. Like we do the Battle of the Bands. We're there for a day. We leave in that same day. That day ends with us meeting Johnny Cash. We sleep with Johnny Cash and then we're in Stone's Reach the next day. Like,
Yeah, it's incredibly fast.
and then we go up to
It's
the
a-
mountains.
it's such a
We're-
typical
we
D&D thing
deliberately
because
say
a
that
walk-
we're gone
a
for
walk-
2 days.
a
Like,
5-hour walk takes 5 seconds, but 5-second fight takes 5 hours. You know, like it's
Nah.
Now, I am going to say that somewhere in there will have been a period of time that wasn't addressed clinically, and we're going to say that's when we spent months walking. I'm going to redraw the map and have Stones Reach just like out on a landmass miles away by a land bridge.
Yeah, we're just doing better than Tolkien. You know,
Yeah.
we just didn't put a page for every mile.
Yeah.
Because I know where you're coming from. It does almost like from the
I think it lessens a lot of the relationships and things.
only if you let it. I think.
I think it becomes a much weirder relationship for this
Yeah.
adult and child if there's not a much
much
longer,
longer
time to
time.
bond. Like,
Yeah, fair.
Sid becomes like
It's like in
kind
The
of
Last of Us.
mentally damaged
Yeah.
to be clinging to somebody that quick.
I mean, Sid is kind of mentally damaged. With
Not
all
that
his-
bad. There's nothing wrong with having a single mom raising you.
I know, but like
no,
it's-
but like what? Yeah. So it's like Sid is mentally damaged, but he's not mentally damaged in the way that you would be if you Stockholmed somebody
Yeah.
you've known for like 2 days.
yeah.
That's more my thing.
Yeah.
The type of clinging on to some dude that, you know, he met.
I'm going to
in that
canonically
way.
say that after arriving in Stones Reach, we spent a little time in the town. Like,
It's so funny because literally in the episode, I fully expect you guys to spend a bit of time in the episode walking around, getting the rumors, finding the people, finding out what's going on, and you're like, we leave instantly for the Hill Giants. Like instantly. Like you arrived and within like 2 hours you'd left, and I was like, are you fucking serious? I had so much prepared for Stones Reach. So many NPCs and like other inns and stuff that you could go to, and you're like,
What NPCs mattered other than the sloppy Joe?
well, none
Who's
of them
Katie?
now.
The sloppy Joes.
Yeah, but I mean,
I love
it's-
that you said that you have things planned because we like shoehorned in random NPCs that
Yeah.
you didn't have planned.
Yeah, but I
Also,
I always have things planned, but I always plan to only ever use 60% of that stuff.
I
Like,
just
that's-
love that you planned other things and we just forced you to make other things.
if you
instead.
want,
Yeah, that's
If
fine.
you want those NPCs to live a life, I have Stones Reach fully built in that thing now.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah,
with
if
his
you're
Lego train set.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, I made a video game about our podcast, and I didn't tell anyone.
And
you
he's
play
not
as,
selling it.
you play as Fink.
And it just has cat girls.
I'm gonna, and you were trying to find all the cat girls in Stones Reach. It's a game
So you
of
can
cat.
look them up.
But-
It's a
Before
game
it
of cat and mouse.
Before it burns down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
I'll
yeah.
overlay footage on
Oh my
this,
God, can
and you
you-
can actually see.
Yeah, the
Stones
cat
Reach.
girls should be chasing him like the guards instead. So that way it's like what is that type of weird anime thing where it's like all the girls love the one guy?
That's
Harem anime.
Harem
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
No.
Fink's harem.
No. Okay. Yeah. But I'll put footage of that up so you
Eh,
can see it.
Anyway, I've no idea how we got onto that topic.
Yeah. What did we start with there?
These last 2 hours have been off the
Chaotic.
wall.
Dylan was like, "Oh, hey guys, we've had quite a serious, few episodes. If you want to bring a little chaotic energy to it, by my guest." And did we ever?
Yeah,
Did we ever fucking do that?
yeah. So what went wrong in the date then?
8 minutes later.
It's that Sid and Sid's mom had the right idea. She's a scholar the same as Sid, and going out and Sid's got very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And
Does
his
Sid have low self-esteem?
oh yeah, his first best friend was Axel, who decided he hated him.
Oh yeah,
His dad left him. His other best friend is now dead.
yeah.
Sid
His only other best friend is a rat.
I mean, if he's coming to Bren for advice, he's got to be in a.
In a bad place.
Sid's very optimistic, and he's a nice guy and everything, but he's got pretty low self-esteem,
fair.
even though he's quite successful with
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the things he does.
I would think, yeah.
One of the youngest people to get
Yeah.
but none of that compares to how he feels about social situations and stuff like that. But yeah, he had the right call, and so did his mom. And his mom knows him quite well, and she's a scholar as well. And going out and talking about the stuff that they would have been interested in would have been way better than going to,
Yeah, but in all fairness, fuck that.
The
Restaurants
Coke-
are tight.
cooked food that's cooked by someone else and served to you.
especially in town where it's not something special. You can just go there because it's all free
Yeah,
anyway, because it's commune. It's just these people cook it for you and bring it to you.
Yeah, it's just people in the culinary school or people who just like cooking. You're like, what do I want to do in my life? I want to cook.
Yeah.
Quick here, people
I
will
mean,
eat
they
it.
did just let anybody wait. So
Yeah, well,
Well, that's the
I
thing
don't-
because it's
I
all
don't think we had
volunteer.
the time in that episode to get into the
Well, I
the
figured-
implications.
I figure because it's all just volunteer based. You know, it's not like people have jobs there. So
I
Yeah,
did
but you
quite
still
like.
have a routine, and you'd still know who's like in the building working at shift.
yeah, but he's quite convincing,
Oh yeah, I mean, as
especially as
I
a
had
a
other
harbor
things
master.
to worry about
I did quite
in that
like
episode.
Oh no, she's not on. She's very, very ill.
I liked Olivia.
Yeah, I can't wait to
I
see
can't-
where that goes.
I know. I think they could be a cute couple.
It's so funny because Ryan, you've never wanted, and you're always like,
Since that no one. Yeah.
even when like way back in the Battle of the Bands arc, when I had like Tyler, like, you know, it wasn't even flirting, but it was just like an awkward, like kind of teen interaction, and you're like, yeah, I don't want like. If that's like flirting, like let's not go with like friendly like that. I was like, oh, it wasn't anyway. And now you're like, fucking date me, Dylan. Like date me.
It was more that it was to throw you off so much
make a
this
girl that I have
episode.
to date.
Yeah.
Seduce me.
It was more to throw you off this episode. No, I don't really want to do
didn't.
like a dating
Much.
sim. I want Sid to be happy one day, but
We'll see about that. Let's save the world first.
yeah.
He's Chelsea's type, human.
Instead of a biologist, we should have said she was into hematology. That was easy. It was literally just me and Joanne.
Yeah, I know. I was half tempted to call her Joanne because I thought that would be funny. But
Then it would have been like, oh, this is going about as well as our first date.
Yep.
What?
I was like, yep, agreeing to the thing before, and then I was like, oh, that makes it seem like I was there for your first date. So I was like, wait. I think I was.
Were
but I
you?
don't want you to know, you know?
Were
here's
you that waiter from the harbor?
The harbor master, yeah.
Here's a question for you. What's your band name going to be? Because this is something that I've actually had.
Oh no, we don't decide this out of the podcast.
Okay,
Yeah, this has got to be.
fine. Let me change tact on this then. How do you feel about having a steady band name
Oh,
or
awful.
having to
Ugh.
have a steady band name?
hate it.
feels weird.
Hate it.
Yeah. It feels like a betrayal of everything
It's
Con
too-
stood for.
To be honest, it started as such a joke, like an in-joke thing about how hard it is for bands to come up with a name, especially small bands starting out. And I just love for that to continue on. Like, you know, especially because as we get bigger and as we get more famous, and then if we keep changing names and people are like, well,
Yeah.
But it will also, I think, add to a bit of a funny side of the Hoots Force having a really hard time tracking us down.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
it's
a very
really
good
played
point,
to our
actually.
advantage
Yeah.
that who are they going to come looking for?
Yeah,
you know?
there's no one band responsible.
Like from their reports, there's a small army working against them.
Yeah.
in
Because
that
like when I
region,
was in high school, like in my first bands, I was always in my notebooks when I should have been doing homework or whatever, writing out different band names, you know, and everything. And I picture Sid just doing that, you know.
Yeah. Cool.
But it does have that benefit, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
And it'll make a thing like in world of like the true fans being like, oh, I saw them when they were, you know.
Oh yeah. Being able to like
Yeah. I knew
It's
them before they were
have-
big.
d-
Like.
doing wiki deep dives of
Check
like,
out my Stone Roses shirt, you know.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
You know, like, were we
Yeah.
the Stones Roses?
No.
Who was the Stones Roses?
The Sun Roses were the things you needed to get
Oh,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
heal,
Yeah,
to
that's
make
what
the
it was.
mobility.
I was like, that's a shit name. No.
You were, yeah, God. I can't even.
What was the one? The Meanswell. A Meanswell shirt. We were like Meanswell for like
Meanswell.
one episode.
Word means well.
Where did that
when
came
was
from? A
that?
T-shirt or something? Wasn't
It was because it was like, somebody said like, what are your goals? It was like, oh, we mean,
We mean
well.
well, yeah.
Oh, he means well. It was like, what? That's the band name.
Wow.
That's a bit of merch we must make. Actually, is all the band names crossed.
I
off
would love to do that,
Yeah.
but God, the amount of effort it would take.
to
Well,
go back and.
I
Yeah.
have them written in this notebook each time we've done one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I'd be so surprised if you had them all. 'cause-
Each one that actually made it onto the podcast and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Send that on, and we'll make a T-shirt. of
Yeah,
it.
that would be very, very funny.
That'd be a great T-shirt.
Yeah. Speaking of, buy merch. Nice segue, thanks.
What else do we have to talk about from that episode?
Oh, so Ryan, what's your opinion on not Jim's performance, but like Bren's backstory and stuff like that? Because you hadn't really been in the loop. Obviously, me and so kind of
it's like me with Town.
Yeah, so I kind of basically offered to Jim that he can do a lot for Azumakia,
The way I did with Town.
the way you did for Town. Obviously, I have a few things that need to happen, like
I made a much friendlier place.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. No, Azumaki is not cool.
I that was a lot of Jim's input. I kind of said like, oh, Roman is kind of like I
don't know why, but like, I don't know how you picture it, but when you have been talking about Azumaki, the more you talk about it, the more I just picture like Caelid from Elden Ring. You know, the big city, like, very dark red and like very military, and
it's.
I'm trying to think of something in pop culture that'd be kind of close to how I picture it.
Especially when you said it's on the Shattered Plains and everything like that. I'm like,
so it's not on the Shattered
Plains. That
Plains.
made it more Caelid to me again.
It's actually in the Shattered Plains. So to give a little bit of backstory for our VIPs here on the Backstage Pass, Azumaki was traditionally ruled by dragons.
Again,
like,
Caelid.
Openly. But it was not so much ruled as like a tyrannical rule. And
because those are dinosaurs.
Yes.
They grew wings and then ruled as dragons.
I like that you're doing this right.
And so
tyrannical.
Tyrannosaurus.
So they actually built a lot of their towns into like valleys so that they would be literally defended from dragon attacks. So they could just like
they built into the cracks.
Into the cracks and then into caves and stuff like that. So a lot of the town isn't actually above ground. It's like down in the valleys.
Like buildings built into the walls of the chasms and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I don't think has a pop culture.
No, I've been trying very hard to think of something like that.
Nothing I've seen pop culture was the thing that inspired me for that. So
yeah, I feel like some of the cities in Guild Wars might have that kind of really hyper built up aesthetic of being like hyper built up in very confined spaces.
If you imagine like even Minas Tirith a little bit, where part of the city is built like into the cliff face.
Yeah.
If you then imagined instead of all the walls, it was like a mirror of that, you know? So it's like built into these like cracks and crags in the ground.
So they're mole people.
Kind of like Death Valley.
So what was that second type of person you had? The mole masters?
The mole people.
I figure it's got to be something to do with the campaign. Because this has all the backgrounds from
some real specific thing.
So they're mole
like
people.
Kormator, refugee, Black Fist, double agent.
So, but yeah, what do you think of Bren then and his?
Yeah,
reveal?
I mean, dark little backstory there. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Sid doesn't get a lot of that. You know, I mean, you saw his reaction to Sun, you know, and Be'lakor and everything.
Yeah.
It was not really that he thought, oh, Be'lakor is weird because of how he looks or anything like that. He was more just like, stop fucking killing people and being a bad dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sun, he was just like, hey, well, that's cool that you can do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's not really caught off guard by mutations or anything because he looks at things quite clinically.
Which would be great for Bren to like not someone like address him on how he acts and stuff.
Yeah.
And
rather than
like when he first
God,
saw,
you're a weird red devil man.
And when he first saw Bren,
he called him a
without
cutie.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't really care.
Wasn't phased at all.
Yeah,
for sure. It's also why Bren is like mega protective of Sun. Is like, because I remember he was like shouting at your mom for like decloaking.
No,
it was
Sid
you.
is
You
like,
pulled the hood off Sun, and he was like, "Fuck, that's not cool." Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Not as much episode to talk about in that one.
What do you mean?
Let's go back and analyze the date again.
No.
That was a fun episode, though.
Yeah,
I feel like
enjoyed
it's
that.
been a long time since we got to have just a
The
fully fun episode.
The last one, I genuinely think the last one is actually probably that shopping episode
in fucking Rowan.
Where Jim went and got the sword, and it was just us fucking around for 30 minutes. Big energy of that.
And it got quite serious at the end of season 1, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And it's even now that's kind of just simmering down now, like with all the aftermath with Sid and stuff.
Yeah.
And things like this, I think, are, like we talked about the last time, that Sid had a lot of that nicety stolen out of him.
Yeah, ripped away from him.
And things like this are helping to bring him back into being actual Sid.
Yeah. I think
also, sorry, there was a big reveal in this episode that Sid's mom had the Dreamers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we'd only mentioned it briefly, I think, in podcast.
I don't believe we actually ever talked about it in podcasts. It was...
But it was a thing that Sid... We had at least talked about at some point. Maybe it was just you and I, but...
it was news to me.
Oh, okay.
Complete news to me, yeah.
That was a rumor Sid had heard. It had been a rumor. I think we had at least in podcast mentioned that Sid knew the Dreamers could affect memories.
I did know that. No, I knew that.
Yes.
It was news to me that's what had happened to...
Yes. Yeah, and we had, I think, after the whole Maynard thing, we'd kind of discussed more about...
Because that's where Maynard learned to do that, was from
the Dreamers in town.
Dreamers. Yeah.
And then, so we kind of thought it would be like a nice kind of character world-building thing of, well, how did Sid's mom deal with it?
Yeah.
Well, potentially she asked the Dreamers to do that for her.
And it's something they can do.
Yeah.
And it's a real gray area, which we haven't gone into in the podcast yet, but Sid wasn't really in a space to grapple with it yet, and would want to talk in private with his mom about it, because it's very much this is a thing that happened, delete it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it's like a eternal sunshine on a spotless mind. Yeah.
But it's knowledge, but it's just your own knowledge.
Yeah.
And is that okay for, it's not okay to delete knowledge, but if it's your own.
But it's not okay to force someone to have to maybe relive something traumatic or something that they would rather not. So it's,
Yeah.
Ethical questions.
That was a good revelation for me.
Nice. I'm glad we got something from that episode.
Yeah, you really snatched a little bit of story progression from the jaws of that nonsense, didn't you?
Really, really tried.
I'm very interested to see what type of item we can get for
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. I dropped a little bit of fucking exposition about pirates and Sylvia.
Yeah, that was good too. That was I like that you kind of absolutely I was like, I need
to get something in here. But
and Olivia with her study of insects, I'm interested.
Bacteria.
That's going to come back into
like microbes and stuff is actually her study.
See, Sid loves all the animals, and she loves other little tiny living things.
There's little things on Fink that she'd love, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah. Anyway,
right.
With that match made in heaven, we're going to leave.
Bye, kids.
Bye.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Remember, stay dangerous.